The truth about do not disturb signs is that they're crap. Am I right? Oh my gosh. How many times have I had a maid banging on my door as if there was a fire in the hallway and they need me to get out immediately? And it's really like 8 o'clock. And I only got there like 1 or 2 in the morning. And now they've woken me up. And now I'm pissed off. Like, I don't know. I think I have issues. What do you think? Hey guys, it's Erica from America, your favorite flight attendant. And today I am pivoting just a little bit for Travel Tuesday. Instead of reacting to travel gurus who talk about plane devices and things that they like when they travel, we are instead reacting to a hotel worker named Jessica Vanel. And the video she did is called The Truth About Do Not Disturb Signs. Let me tell you, I got some stories and I will tell them to you during this video. But for now, let's go ahead and react to this. Let's start with who is this beautiful woman, Jessica Vanel? I've never actually watched her before. Right here in the description, it says she's a hotel worker. So let's go over and look at her page real quick. I will say part of the reason that I did pick her to actually watch, even though her page doesn't say she's a hotel worker right there. Her description doesn't say it really at all. But if you go down and you look at her videos, they're all about travel, and a lot of them are about hotels. See, hotel skit compilation, how rooms are assigned, hotel worker explains playlist. She's got 12 videos in there. She's got 51 videos of hotel worker skits, which makes me think she probably is a hotel worker and probably does know what she's talking about. There were a couple that I wanted to react to, but I don't want to take all of her views. So I am just picking the truth about DND, meaning do not disturb signs, at hotels, because I got issues, let me tell you. But there's some other really good ones here, like this stop using debit at hotels one. I'm probably going to watch that one next off video because I am curious about that. And I will link this debit one at the end of the video. So you can go over and you can watch her videos and you can subscribe if you want to subscribe. And let's see if she passes my test and if I subscribe at the end or not. Am I right? Real quick, this was posted December 3rd, 2023. It's been almost 2 years since she posted this, over 267,000 views. Do not disturb signs do not guarantee complete and utter privacy in a hotel room, but for a very good reason. So let's find out what that good reason is. Here we go.
So I have something that I want to talk about today that unfortunately I don't think is going to make a lot of people very happy. And it has to do with privacy signs, do not disturb signs on hotel room doors. They don't guarantee you complete privacy. Hotel staff can and will still enter your room, regardless of whether or not you put that little piece of plastic on the door handle. Sorry. I can hear the outrage already starting in the comments. I paid for that room. That's my room. If I say that no one can enter it, then no one can enter it. Exactly. If someone... Yeah, exactly. If someone tries to come into my room after I put the do not disturb sign on the door, I'm gonna call their manager and get them fired. Yeah, no, not quite. So hotels have always reserved the right to enter a guest's room regardless of whether or not there is a do not disturb sign on the door. Now, traditionally, hotels have promised that they will only enter a room if there is a hotel emergency or a maintenance issue. But recently, there has been a change in a lot of hotels' policies. That change has been the implementation of daily wellness checks. I actually got the idea to talk about this because someone messaged me online saying that a hotel that they had stayed at for a very long time had recently implemented this change to their policy regarding do not disturb signs. And the change was the inclusion of daily wellness checks where someone comes to the room, opens the door, does a visual inspection, and then leaves. Now this made this person...
That's so messed up, man. I would be so pissed, like so pissed if that happened. How about you? I don't know if that's allowed with flight crew. We have very detailed contracts about what each hotel does for us, where we're supposed to stay, quiet rules, when they're supposed to disturb or not disturb us. And I'm always so frustrated when the maid staff ignores that do not disturb sign and bangs on my door early in the morning, especially because sometimes we come in at 1 or 2 in the morning and then they come banging at 8 a.m. I've actually gone off on a couple of maids for that. Like, are you kidding me? And then I'll be like, you see those doors over there? Those are the pilots. Do not knock on their door because they need their 8 hours of sleep. And if you do, that is going to actually delay the flights. Bet you didn't know that, huh? There's an FAA regulation that says that pilots need to have a minimum rest of 10 hours. Same with the flight attendants. We have to have a minimum rest. And if the hotel were to actually disturb our rest, then that clock resets. So if you've ever gotten to an airport early in the morning at an outstation, meaning a smaller airport, one that's not a hub for one of the airlines, and the flight leaves late because of the crew, it's very likely that they either came in too late and didn't get their 10 hours of minimum rest, or something happened at the hotel, like a fire alarm in the middle of the night, which has happened a couple of times in the time that I've been a flight attendant. And that disturbed our minimum rest, and then the clock resets because they have to give us 10 hours of minimum rest. So it's very frustrating to me, especially when I see the maids try to enter our room. And I got stories, let me tell you, but I'll tell you those at the end. Let's watch some more of what she has to say.
And understandably very uncomfortable, because why was some random hotel person coming to their room and looking around? Most hotels tell their guests that it is a wellness check to ensure that everyone in the room is okay, that there has been no medical emergency. But this is really just the tip of the iceberg of reasons as to why hotels perform these wellness checks. Now, I think that is the best thing for the hotel to tell their guests, because I once had this poor, sweet, older couple come up to me at a hotel and say, "What, miss, some security guard just came to our room and said that he was checking because he thought we had inside of it. My husband and I would never. Why would he think that we brought those things to the room?" And I then have the very fun task of assuring this woman that we did not believe that she and her husband had brought pew pew no-nos to the room, that we were conducting a general safety check for a list of reasons, that being one of them, but that we weren't targeting her and her husband, but that we did this to every single room at the hotel every single day. So to calm her and her husband down, I went over all of the reasons these visual safety checks are performed. Number one, to actually guarantee that everyone in the room is alive and well. We want to make sure that no one has had any medical emergencies. Number two, hotels perform these checks to visually inspect for any. Number three, for
I have no idea what that is.
Number four, for any signs of human.
Okay, that makes sense.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, hotels genuinely have no way of knowing the real motivations of why someone has come to stay at their property. 9 times out of 10, yeah, sure, guests are probably staying in a hotel for completely innocent reasons. To see some family, to go on vacation, to have a business meeting, whatever. But it only takes that one. A lot of these safety changes came as a reaction to what happened in Las Vegas. That happened in 2017. And frankly, I'm surprised that the hospitality industry as a whole hasn't implemented these daily wellness checks, because I know that there are still a lot of hotels who do not do them. The person who messaged me online said that this was a more recent change in policy at the hotel that she usually stays at. And when I started working for the Walt Disney World Company at their resorts in 2021, I believe it was a more recent implementation for them as well. But please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that point, because I never actually stayed at a Disney resort hotel prior to when I started working for them, because I always lived so close to the parks that it just never really justified staying at the resorts. But to bring it back around, though I understand that these daily wellness checks can be perceived as a complete breach of privacy and unnecessary to some, it is necessary because of the world we live in. Hotel staff everywhere, even at the most magical place on earth, are usually trained to look out for the signs of illegal activity at hotels and in hotel rooms. You would imagine that illegal activity could only ever take place at those shady little creepy run-down motels on the side of the highway that just look like a walking infestation. But no, even the highest echelon of hotels can be targeted, and they are precisely for the reason that people perceive them as a kind of hotels where shady business just doesn't happen. A great example of this actually comes from one of my ex-managers who used to be a bellhop at a very stuffy, and I mean stuffy, hotel. He was called to a room to help bring some bags out of it, and when he walked in, he was like, this looks a little weird. And he went to his manager and he said, yeah, no, they had the windows all boarded up and they put tinfoil on it. And he described all of these really weird objects that he saw on the tables and in the bathrooms. And his manager's eyes got so wide and he immediately called the police because someone was cooking up zippy no-nos in this extremely high-end hotel. And though my manager had recognized that something looked off about what was happening in that room, he had no clue that it was zippy no-no cooking because he had not been educated on what that looked like because, and this was back in like the 90s, the hotel had never even considered that they would be targeted as a place where people would try to conduct this kind of illegal activity.
Gotcha.
So that is a good reason why these safety checks are being implemented at more and more hotels.
You know, after she explains that, I gotta say, I am kind of surprised that it hasn't happened, that they try to walk in on us more. Okay, that sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. Like, it's crazy how much drug trafficking happens from the flight crews. There's a thing called known crew member, KCM. I've mentioned it before. It's only at certain airports. It's not at all airports. It's generally at the larger airports for sure. Each airport has to apply for it, get approved. And what KCM is basically like a less security passage point for flight attendants and pilots. And a lot of times for people who work at the airport, we go up to a different TSA agent and we scan our badges and the computer checks to make sure that we're cleared to go into the airport. And then it randomizes how often we have to go back and go through security and have our bags scanned. And because there are some sketchy flight attendants or pilots, even ground crew that have set up systems that allow for drug trafficking, the actual checkpoints for flight crew has gotten a lot more difficult over the years. In fact, they are talking about taking KCM away from us this year. It's supposed to just disappear from all airports. And they've done some crazy things over the years. Really funny story that I could tell you. They tried to change KCM a couple years ago to where we weren't allowed to go through unless we were wearing our uniform. And one pilot had told me about how they started in Dallas a day early because they had published industry-wide that this was the day that all of the airports were going to make it that you had to wear your uniform to go through KCM, which has not generally been the case before. And they said, okay, we're implementing this system immediately. From now on, you have to wear your uniform. You can't come through in street clothes, even though you have your badge and your appropriate ID. One pilot told me about how he got to Dallas and they had implemented it a day early. And so he, being a jerk and being pissed, he was like, you seriously expect me to go put my uniform on and then come back here? And they said yes. So he started to walk away with his bag and then he stopped and he pulled out his pilot shirt, which has the bars on the shoulders. And he came back and he said, okay, wait, do I have to put the full uniform on or is just the shirt enough? And then the guy was like, I guess the shirt. And so he's like, all right. And he like threw it on. He's like, do I have to button it, unbutton it? Like what? And then the guy was like, just go through. And as soon as he walked through KCM, he took the shirt back off, shoved it in a suitcase. And another TSA agent went, what the hell? This is ridiculous. And needless to say, that one tester day in Dallas ended up canceling that plan system-wide because the flight crew were not happy about it. But now they're going to be having us go through security. Usually at smaller airports, it's not a problem. At a lot of smaller airports, we go through security no matter what. We get our bags scanned no matter what. But those airports generally don't have much of a sign. So I am surprised considering the fact that TSA just basically thinks that we're all drug traffickers and look at us like we must be doing something sketchy. I'm surprised that they haven't actually connected it up with the hotels yet. That was the whole point of that story. But let's go on. And then I'm going to tell you how to get around what she's talking about.
But again, I understand that the vast majority of us who go to stay at a hotel are not trying to do illegal things in the room, and we're of healthy mind and body where no one needs to come and make sure that we're still living and breathing in the room. So why can't we just opt out of this? Why can't we just say, hey, we're good people, you don't have to come check our rooms.
Nobody will
Stop
believe
conducting these daily checks on us. Well, sorry to say it, but hotels just don't have the luxury of taking your word for it. We don't know you. And unless you want to walk into a hotel and have your entire person and all your bags scanned like you're going through airport TSA, They just have no way of knowing what you are bringing into their rooms. And at the end of the day, you are renting a room on their property that they own. And anything that happens on that property, they can be liable for. So it is in hotels' best interest to guarantee the safety of not only their guests, but of their ability to operate, that they ensure that what is happening within their rooms is legal and safe. I do encourage you to always put your valuables either in the safe or at least out of sight if you are leaving the room for the day. I also encourage you to always have the safety latch on when you're in the room. If you are ever uncomfortable about whoever is trying to enter your room, call the front desk to verify their identity. And finally, if you are wanting to have a certain time that the safety check is performed so you're not disturbed in your room, like let's say your kids are trying to nap and you don't want someone to come knock and look in the room, call the front desk, ask if they've already performed the safety check, or try to coordinate with them on a time that works best for you.
Yeah,
I
that's not
hope I have
suspicious.
clarified some things for you on this topic. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or stories of your own, please feel free to comment them down below. I plan to make my next Hotel Worker Explains video about conventions and a little bit more lighthearted in that way, so look forward to that. I'm Jessica Vanel. I have a degree in hospitality management. I've worked in hotels for 7+ years, and I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. Stay safe out there. Have a great day. Bye!
I don't know about you. I think she was absolutely adorable. I'm hitting the subscribe button. I definitely want to see more of her stories. How about you? So I do have a couple stories. The first thing she said, throw the latch. I learned that day one as a flight attendant. So I had just graduated. The first thing they do when you graduate as a flight attendant is they then give you moving days to move you from wherever you live to wherever your base is. And that could be that you actually physically go get your stuff and you get in your car and you drive, or it could mean you grab a few suitcases and you come, but you're expected to basically show up and live where your hub is. And I lived in Southern California when I first became a flight attendant. I had to get a crash pad when I first started here. But basically, I graduate. It's my move days. I come to Chicago. The first thing you do when you get to your base is they put you through orientation. What orientation is basically they give you a tour of the airport. And they show you, okay, here's the crew room, and here's what you need to know about this airport. Here's just some of the basics. And during those move days, they would give us free hotel nights. So me and a male classmate, we ended up at the same hotel, and we're both given keys at the same time. We take the elevator up to the floor. We're walking down. He gets to his room before me, and I continue walking down the hallway. And as I turn and put my lock up against the key, I happen to notice that he's now walking away. And I look back and I'm like, hey, Danny, like, what's going on? And he's like, someone's in the room. Oh, what? What? They just assigned us the room. And apparently somehow the hotel messed up the reservation for the airline rooms, and someone else that was flight crew, or we're assuming was flight crew, was already in the room. So Danny had to go back down to get a brand new room assignment. In the 8 years I've been a flight attendant, I've seen that happen a few times. I have heard of flight crew that have opened the door and seen a naked captain just standing there, staring out the window, bold as can be, didn't even know somebody had opened the door, and they just closed it and went back. So imagine if that's you standing naked in your room or in your underwear, however you do. That is not something you want to do. So I learned immediately, as soon as I walk in the room, the first thing I do is throw the latch. I never remember to put out the do not disturb card because it comes in different forms. And sometimes I just forget. But if you really don't want them to disturb you, you do increase the odds of them not doing it, not knocking on your door first thing in the morning to see if you're there by actually putting it on the door. There's that. Always throw the latch. And then here's the other thing to keep in mind when you throw the latch. A lot of the doors open towards the bathroom. Even if the latch stops the door that much, a lot of times that much, you might be able to see the shower. So every time you go to get in the shower, make sure you kind of give a quick look at the angle between the shower and the door. The room I was in the night before last was like that. If they had cracked open the door, they would have had a full view of me standing in a shower with glass doors. So I just closed the bathroom door most of the way, just so then that way, if they did happen to open the door and see that the latch was thrown, they weren't going to see more than that, if you know what I mean. That's what I would say about that. And one funny story, right? One funny story. One time when I was flying, I had a really bad earache. And I think I was coming down with a cold or something. My sinuses were stuffed, my ears were stuffed. And I was talking to the captain about it. And the captain said, hey, I have some earwax drops in my bag if you want to borrow them. And I was like, oh, that'd be great. And he's like, yeah, because, if you don't pop your ears, they could get all bloody and then they're destroyed forever. And then I was like, I'm sold. I'm calling in sick. I'm not going. I'm staying here. Get another flight attendant. And he was like, no, it'll be fine. I'm just kidding. I'm like, nope. You sold me. I'm not going. And then we're joking around in the shuttle. And he's like, yeah, that's right. I got something that only a flight attendant can get from me and nobody else. And I said, I'm going to tell your wife you said that. And he was like, no, don't. He was just cracking me up. And then we went into our separate rooms and dropped our bags. And as soon as I dropped my bags, I went over and I knocked on his door. And from the other side of the door, I hear him yell, hold on. I'm not naked yet. And I'm just like, d- what? And then I just started laughing. And he opened the door. He was still in his uniform. But I thought it was so funny. I do that to people now, a lot of the hotel workers. And you should see their faces when I open the door dressed. Like they're expecting me to be naked just because I said that. So try that the next time. And finally, the one interesting thought that I had when I was watching this was Airbnb. Talk about an advertisement to go to Airbnb, and yet Airbnb seems to be collapsing because the standards for Airbnb have gotten so ridiculously high. These homeowners want down payments, cleaning fees. They want the place to be spotless when their guests leave, and it's making people give up on it. But it's just kind of interesting how this hospitality industry is changing. A lot of the hotels are upping their at-home feel in their hotels to kind of draw people back away from Airbnb. But this is definitely not a sign that I'd want to go. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, grab your remote because here comes her next video. This Friday, I am trying something new. I'm doing Flight Attendant Friday instead of just Fun Friday. And I'm going to give you some flight attendant advice. And then the following week, I'm going to answer questions about what it's like to be a flight attendant. Should you be a flight attendant? Stuff like that. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Put them in the comments on the video that comes out on Friday. And then I will try to make sure to answer as many questions as I can in the video that comes out 2 Fridays from now. If you guys like this, hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. That lets me know that you like it. It makes me feel so good when I see them. And again, ask me questions in the comments what you'd like to know about being a flight attendant, especially as a retirement plan, because that's what I'm going to talk about too. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao.